Hello, everybody. This is Chris Miller from the Coach's Box, Call Like See It podcast for our weekly SEC preview segment for Thank God for Football Game Day. And this segment is always brought to you by Pepsi. Whether you're gearing up for game day, hanging out with friends, or you just need that perfect, refreshing break, nothing hits the spot quite like an ice cold Pepsi. It's bold, it's crisp, it's refreshing, and I'm having one right now to get ready for my morning. So it fuels my moment. It's going to fuel your moment. So crack one open and enjoy, bud. I'm telling you right now, and I keep saying this as we gear up. I know I sound like an SEC homer because I kind of am with my favorite team playing in the SEC. But I will tell you this, the conference games this week, they are all pretty good except for one, because we are now getting into SEC play where everybody plays each other. And all the games on the betting lines, there's no game that's over 14 points on the betting line. So Vegas sees all these games as being pretty close. There are some good ones. We're going to highlight our three. The first one we have is number 10, LSU. They are playing at number 17, Vanderbilt. Last week, LSU, a very lackluster win, 20-10 over South Carolina. And Vandy coming off of that 30-14 loss against Alabama. We said it last week, that was a prove me game for Vanderbilt. They played well for a half, basically, against Alabama, but Alabama is starting to roll down a hill, and there ain't a lot of people that are getting in front of them. Brian Kelly's team is pretty much one loss away from his seat heating up, even though that they're a top 10 team. They have to play like it. The guys that I'm looking at that have to play better, obviously, or they're the key players in this. Nussmeier has to play better. Last 2 weeks, he's been very lackluster. So he's going to have to step up because Vandy, I do think they're more contenders than they are pretenders at this point. And it's going to come down to Pavia again. He's got to have a huge game. He's been having huge games. And this is the first time since 1979 that Vanderbilt has been favored in an SEC matchup. That's been a long time to have a bunch of SEC games and them never be the favorite. Betting line, Vandy 2.5. Let's see what happens. Vegas usually knows something we don't, apparently. And I think it's going to be a good game. And it's an early start game too. So I think that's going to be a good one. We have some really nice setup, by the way, with how the games are set this week. Next one we have is number 11, Tennessee. They are playing at number 6, Alabama. Tennessee 5-1 on the season. Last week, they beat Arkansas 34-31. Wasn't that great of a performance necessarily for Tennessee. Last week, Alabama beat Mizzou 27-24, which really sucks. I still feel like, there's some good things to stay away from Mizzou on that, but I don't want to take away from this game. Bama's offense is just on a roll. Like I said, I don't know if the Volunteers can keep up, especially playing at Bryant-Denny. Always a tough place to play. Bama's favored by 8.5 on this one, pretty much because of how they've been playing. Here's what's going to happen. After 146 yards last week, Deshaun Bishop for Tennessee is going to have to be a big part of this game. That was Mizzou's downfall. They didn't give the ball to the leading rusher in the nation enough last week with 12 carries. I think if Tennessee is watching film, they should learn that, and they should establish the run. That's going to definitely help take the ball away from Ty Simpson, who's the best quarterback in the country right now. You can argue all you want. He's playing the best quarterback game of anybody else. I think right now he's probably a Heisman favorite after Mizzou decided to take the Heisman away from Hardy by not giving him the ball. Simpson is playing outstanding football. Should be a fun one to watch. And I believe that one's the 6 o'clock game on ABC. Then you have number 5, Ole Miss, at number 9, Georgia. This is a big game for Ole Miss. They're undefeated. And, they're undefeated overall, and they're undefeated in the conference. Last week, they looked like crap. They played WashU. They beat them by 3, 24-21. Lane Kiffin, who's never shy about making comments, definitely said that his team didn't show up. He's right. Georgia, they beat Auburn 20-10. It was a kind of game. There's something going on with Georgia's offense. They look like crap, in my opinion. They are favored by 7.5 points, I guess, because they're playing at home. But this this is one of those things where you're kind of like, well, did they overlook their opponents last week looking ahead to this one? And you can't really do that in college football, especially when you're playing some better opponents. I'm not really sure WashU plays into that, but whatever. Trinidad Chambliss has had a fantastic, really under the radar season, only thrown one interception. So he's going to need to have a big game. And Chauncey Bowens from Georgia, who had some nice games last week, he had 4 carries, 5 yards, 1 touchdown. Georgia needs to get back to being who they are, running the football, pounding the rock, and having that gritty kind of running game that's really beneficial in the SEC. And I do believe playing against an offense like Ole Miss, if you can't run the football, you're going to be in trouble. You're just going to give more opportunities to teams that can throw the ball over the field. Either way, these are our 3 matchups that we're looking at this week. I think there's a lot of really good football that's going to be played this weekend in the SEC. So I'm kind of excited to see how it's going to pan out and then how that's going to play out for next week's matchup. So for the Coach's Box, I'm Chris Miller, and this has been our SEC preview for Thank God for Football Game Day, and we'll see you guys all again next week.
It's brought to you by Off the Rails Media. Life's more fun when you're off the rails.